Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Navis Nobilite. And today we are talking about the great fish itself, the chonky boy, the pain in the ass to build back in the day with Pewter, the Void Stalker battleship. Now, the Void Stalker battleship is a bit of a departure from the standard operating procedure of the Corsair Eldar. In being, its sole purpose is to hold firepower on a durable platform with good range that can probably take a hit or two before you have to run away screaming like a little girl. Now, sitting at 380 points, it is a very expensive battleship for what it does. And at the same time, it's also one of the most powerful battleships in the game. Let's look at its stats. Battleship 10. Oh, that's a nice refreshing change. Instead of having, 6 or 4 hits, no, 10 hits. That's a little bit better. 10, 20, 25 centimeter. This is the same speed as your cruisers, suggesting that it's meant to stick around with your cruisers. Turn special. It has holofields. This is the only battleship in the game that can turn anywhere it wants with no concern. It is ridiculously maneuverable. Holofields for defense and a 4-up armor. Ugh, that you're going to regret that at some point. And 0 turrets. What is it equipped with? Keel launch bays. It has a launch capacity 4. Very important for the Eldar fleet. It has a Keel weapons battery at strength 8 that fires front, left, right. Also, very important because you can fire this vessel out the side. The only Eldar ship that can do that. Prow pulsar lances. Strength 2 at 45 centimeters, left front, and another strength 2 front right, which means you can either fire 4 pulsar lances out the front or 2 out of each side. Very important for the Eldar fleet, because if you are a beam to the enemy, they get less shots on you. Now, most people use this as an aggressive vessel because it has good range on its weapons, and I can't argue that point. It's very effective as an aggressive vessel. This thing by itself can delete enemy cruisers and cause severe damage to most battleships. If you lock on with those pulsar lances, you have a potential of 12 hits. And the weapons batteries are more than enough to knock down at least 1 or 2 shields before the pulsar lances dissect basically gut the enemy ship like a fish. Now, the downside, it's a huge point investment. If you're taking this, that's less escorts you're taking. It's also less cruisers you're taking. Generally speaking, if I take the Void Stalker, I'm foregoing taking any other cruiser than maybe an Eclipse to get launch capacity 8, which means all of my other points are going directly into escorts. I'm not going to have a lot of durable ships on the board. I'm not going to have a lot of light cruisers. I am reliant on the Void Stalker for ship cracking way more than normally should be in a Corsair Eldar fleet. So bear that in mind. You are putting an investment on one giant basket full of your eggs. So be very careful with how you use it, learn how to use it, and be very specific about where you want it to be. Use your terrain with this thing. You do not want this to be hit. You want to avoid this thing being shot. If an enemy has brought a long-range battery boat, this vessel should not be going up against it. It should be going up against shorter-range vessels that support the enemy fleet, while your escorts go in and deal with their long-range firepower. You can, if you so desire, use this to erase escort squadrons. It's very good at it. But you should be using that you should be doing that with other things, like aconites or hemlocks or nightshades. This really is meant for surgical annihilation of enemy support vessels, like Imperial cruisers and the lunar Gothic dictator dominator families. This should be used against chaos slaughters. This should be used against murder class cruisers. It should be used against the grand cruisers with poor range. It can be used very effectively against the poor range battleships or apocalypse battleships, which are effectively useless against the Void Stalker. Be surgical with your killing with this vessel, or you will find that the enemy will take one stern look at it and proceed to pound it into the ground, and that's 380 points completely wasted. So, Bear that in mind. This should not be in the vanguard of your fleet. It should be held back and allow the rest of your fleet to soften it up so this can come in and finish the job. All right, that is all of the Corsair Eldar. That is the entirety of their fleet. And you're going to find that as we go on with these other fleets, that the numbers of ships that you have options of taking are dramatically reduced because the Imperial Navy and Chaos got all of the cool stuff. They got all of the different variants. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I'll talk to you all again in the fleet overview for the Corsair Eldar.